Good afternoon. We'll call to order the meeting of the December New Ulm Public Utilities Commission. The first item on the agenda is to review and approve the minutes from the last regular meeting.
Move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held November 28th, 2017.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? We have a motion and second to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held November 28, 2017. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carried. The next item on the agenda is to review reports from officers, boards, and commissions, the first being the report of the Utilities Director.
We've had opportunity to review the report. Anything that you may have a question on, we'd be more than willing to try and answer. Just noting for the record that the month of November, Employee of the Month was Scott Nisley, line worker, Electric Distribution Department. He's been with the PUC since 2007. Scott has made the extra effort to see projects through and meet the tight timelines and get the recharging station for electric cars up and ready for use. He follows attention to detail and timeliness with all of his work at the PUC Electric Department.
I'd offer the motion to receive and order file the report regarding utility operations during the month of December 2017.
Second.
In addition to recognizing Scott Nisley, do we have any other discussion on the motion? We have a motion and second to receive and order filed the report regarding utility operations during the month of December 2017. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carried. The next item on the agenda relates to the increase in mileage reimbursement rates.
Move to receive notice that the city/PUC's mileage reimbursement rate is increasing to 54.5 cents per mile, effective January 1st, 2018, concurrent with mileage rate set by the United States Internal Revenue Service.
Second.
Any discussion? We have a motion and second to receive notice that the city PUC's mileage reimbursement rate is increasing to 54.5 cents per mile, effective January 1, 2018, concurrent with mileage rate set by the U.S. Internal Revenue Service. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Under new business, we need to consider a resolution to adopt the budget.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution and waive the reading adopting the 2018 budget for New Ulm Public Utilities.
Second.
Any discussion regarding the budget? We have a motion and second to approve the resolution, waive the reading, and adopt the 2018 budget for the New Ulm Public Utilities Commission. We need to call the roll.
Commissioner Bernick?
Yes.
Commissioner Hillersheim?
Yes.
Swan?
Yes.
President Heine?
Yes. And the resolution passes. The next item of new business is regarding wage adjustment for non-union full-time PUC employees.
The PUC Personnel Committee is recommending that the non-unionized full-time employees of the PUC be increased 1.5% effective January 1, 2018. No other compensation or benefit changes are recommended at this point in time. This is tied to the IBW 2018 wage adjustment, which is based on the CPIW for the Midwest region. And in order to maintain the compensation and classification study that we just went through and finalized last year, it makes sense that everybody rise at the same rate, or else it throws it all off. So all the money we would have spent is, you know, not not keeping things flat and level when we don't raise it at the same rate. So that is a recommendation.
I'd offer a motion approving a general wage adjustment for non-unionized full-time PUC employees of 1.5% effective January 1, 2018.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? On the motion and second to approve general wage adjustment for non-unionized full-time PUC employees of 1.5% effective January 1, 2018. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. And that motion carries. The next item is to consider the PUC's share of the City Economic Development Director, Assistant City Manager salary.
Yeah. Members of the PUC, part of the budget that you just approved a few minutes ago reflected a earlier recommendation to the PUC that the PUC and the city share in the cost of the assistant city manager or the economic development director, assistant city manager position at roughly $50,000 apiece. And that stayed in there because the PUC budget is, in this particular case, if you don't spend it, it just goes back, into the accounts. But the discussion continued amongst personnel committee, and we kind of basically came up with and said, well, if the PUC is going to fund a number, we should probably figure out what that number is. And in the past, if you go back about 7-8 years, the PUC funded the prior assistant city manager position at 20% of the base wage, not the benefits, just the wage part. And if that were to be put into place in this situation, it would be between $15,000 and $18,000 is what the commitment would be. So it's well under the 50 that was in the budget, and it just was, we didn't want to go any further in this before we actually hire somebody, knowing full well that what that number should be has to be decided by the PUC board. So with that information, I guess, I'm open to any questions you might have on it, and we'll see what it ends up being.
The Personnel Committee had some correspondence with you about it, talked about $10,000 for 2018, because this position is also going to be doing economic development. It's kind of tied up with our decision to fund NUEDC for $50,000 for at least one more year. So the question might be whether we would fund this position in the same amount that that the commission would normally fund on a permanent basis for this year, given that we're already committing $50,000 to the
Correct.
NUEDC.
I would imagine I don't know where you are in the hiring process, but it could be months down the road.
Yeah, it'll be probably the first part of March, if not mid-March, before somebody comes on board. So even though let's say you commit to the 15, you're not going to spend the 15.
Yeah.
It's just.
Well, my suggestion there might be to commit to no greater than 20%. And then whenever the hire date is, whatever that amount works out to.
Is that a motion? I would second it.
I will move to set the PUC share of the City Economic Development Director, Assistant City Manager at no greater than 20%.
Second.
Any more discussion on that motion? We have a motion and second to set the PUC share of the City Economic Development Director, Assistant City Manager at no greater than 20% of the individual's compensation. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. And the motion carried. Next is for us to consider the need for us to have a contract with the New Ulm Economic Development Corporation now that we are the only city agency funding that organization.
Yes, correct. The PUC had decided that they would fund, and that was included in the budget. And the next step in the process would be to have a contract signed to reflect this is what we're going to get for that payment, much like they did in 1996. It would update that. One thing I would recommend to consider is what the New Ulm Economic Development Authority is going to include in their contract, and that is with a financial contract that that you'd be entering into, that you would also possibly, I guess I'm putting that forward, that you would consider requesting a seat on the board. They were open to the EDA doing that, and said they would, they would do that. I think if one were to go back, this might have solved, a few issues in the past, had there been, the funding members having a membership on that particular board. It wasn't set up that way. But I think this is something, looking back, that I would recommend that we do, even if it's for 1 year or 2 years, whatever that might be, that you enter in a contract with the requirement that you would have a seat at the table with full rights and responsibilities as the other NUEDC board members.
Has anybody looked back at that 1996 contract? I mean, is it?
Yeah, I mean, there's some things that probably, could be more fine-tuned, be more specific.
It's kind of a starting point.
What's that?
It's kind of a starting point.
Yep.
I mean, with this whole position with the assistant city manager, it seems like there's lots of things in flux here, still moving parts. And because of that, I guess we don't really know 2 years from now what will be there. I have no disagreement with having a contract, and certainly would be an agreement that somebody from the PUC should have a seat on that board. So with that in mind, I guess I'd offer the motion to instruct the city attorney to prepare a contract which will be brought back to us, I suppose, addressing the economic development duties to be performed by the New Ulm Economic Development Corp. On behalf of the Public Utilities Commission in fiscal year 2018.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion?
One of the discussion items at the Personnel Committee meeting was just a recognition that, we don't write a check for $50,000. It's done on a monthly basis, so you take that amount, divide it by 12, and every month a check gets sent out. So we would continue that process.
I imagine a possibility could be that Brian Toll is full-time now, but there's a possibility, I would suppose, that someone could be a part-time in that position, much as Mr. Warda was back in 1996 when this thing first started.
Yeah.
So as long as there's ability to juggle with those things in mind, I guess is what would be important also.
Yep.
Anything further? We have a motion seconded to instruct the city attorney to prepare a contract addressing the economic development duties to be performed by the New Ulm Economic Development Corporation on behalf of the Public Utilities Commission in fiscal year 2018, to be reviewed again by ourselves before it is finalized. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is to consider the MMUA Scholarship Award Program. And Mr. Nelson?
Derek Nelson is here. He's was in, or is now in William Swanson's office and performing those duties. And this is one of those items that's under his control.
As December 4th was my official start date. So like City Manager Grummetz mentioned, I'm here to talk about the Tom Bovitz Memorial Scholarship that MMUA gives out every year. Goes back many years, as far as I know, at least back to '99. That's the oldest information I found on the scholarship. But as of 2016, Public Utilities has also awarded $500 scholarship to the local winner. That will top, of course, that winner will go on to the state level, judged by the MMUA board members there, and then they will be possibly given anywhere up from a $2,000 first place scholarship all the way down to fourth place $500 scholarship. So I'm just kind of here to answer any questions you have about that and hopefully get approval to award a $500 scholarship to the local winner in New Ulm.
I'd offer a motion to receive notice from the Minnesota Municipal Utilities Association, MMUA, regarding the Tom Bowitz Memorial Scholarship Award Program and approve a local award of $500 in addition to the MMUA scholarships.
I'll second.
And welcome to the community, sir.
Thank you.
Any other discussion, any discussion on the motion? We have a motion and second to receive notice from MMUA regarding the Tom Bowitz Memorial Scholarship Award Program and to approve a local award of $500 in addition to the MMUA scholarships. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
And then the next item on agenda is also presented by Mr. Nelson.
Correct. The second thing I'll be talking about on the agenda is in regards to a calendar photo contest for the Public Utilities Conservation Calendar. Kind of before I began my duties as Energy Services Representative, PUC staff and Eileen Matson with Matson Inc. kind of came up with this idea to begin a photo contest that will go along with the calendar to kind of help drum up more community participation with the calendar. And what they kind of decided was to give chamber dollars in a total amount of $300, which would be $25 each to each photographer that would be published as the main photo of each month. And one of the main reasons, not only to drum up more community participation, it was we were probably getting, from what I saw just last year, this last year's calendar, 2017, there was roughly 10 to 15 pictures from those photographers, and out of those 10 to 15, 10 of those people had 2 or more photos in the calendar. So hopefully we'll be able to get some more photographers in the calendar. And that's probably a total, and out of all those, there was 18 total participants. That's including the New Ulm Public Utilities, Park and Rec, and then the chamber. So it would be nice to get the possibility of more people drawn into the participation of the calendar. A couple people drop out, we could be looking at not having enough photographs.
I'd offer the motion to approve a photo contest for the 2019 New Ulm Public Utilities Rebate and Conservation Calendar with prizes of $25 and chamber dollars awarded for the main photograph selected for each of the 12 months for a total of $300 awarded.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is anyone eligible to participate in this?
Well, it's kind of the same criteria of other, they have to be, you know, a resident and of New Ulm. Has to be someone that's within New Ulm, a customer of the public utilities. Needs to be, it can be a past or present photo, but obviously we're not going to pick any photos that have been in the calendar already.
How about employees of the utility?
Are they paying
As long as
customers?
they're within the service area?
Should I just take your
They
picture
pay.
right now?
Sure. If your name is on the utility bill, why not? Yeah, as long as it's the most important thing is it's New Ulm oriented. Pictures taken of something in New Ulm, something that's happened, something that is in New Ulm, not in the country. Not a picture of the Little Cottonwood River down by Searles. Something within the community.
Okay.
Yep.
I guess I would also clarify that we do have customers that may not necessarily there are people that live outside the community that may have, let's say, a rental property in the community, and they are a customer of our utility. So you could get in that weird situation where somebody who lives over in Cortland could take the picture because they actually have a utility account with the New Ulm PUC. So we've had that with the Bowitz scholarship. And so just alerting you to that fact that it's not nearly as black and white as one might probably think. It just see how it plays out.
Okay. Anything else? On the motion and second to approve a photo contest for the 2019 New Ulm Public Utilities Rebate and Conservation Calendar with prizes of $25 and chamber dollars awarded for the main photograph selected for each of the 12 months for a total of $300 awarded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
The next item on the agenda is to consider our commitments to the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities Environmental Action Fund.
Correct. This is something that we've done for 2 years now. The city and the PUC share in the cost 50-50 on this. And basically what this pertains to is that the state of Minnesota and MPCA and the federal EPA have been creating regulations that may not be supported by science. You note that we are a member of the organization called MESRB, and that organization is based on science, but they don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of duking it out with the EPA or the MPCA. They're leaving that up to the cities and the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities Organization, of which the city is a member. So what you have is legislation or laws or enactment of regulations coming out which are questionable. We have a MESRB organization that draws attention to it, and then both the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities and MESRB in support are initiating in this particular case, a lawsuit to MPCA and EPA to force them to do what we believe is the right way. And we've had some success in the last couple of years by initiating those lawsuits and bringing those entities to the table, but it hasn't stopped. So I guess I'd recommend, for the small amount of money that it's going to take to keep monitoring these regulations that ultimately could impact us to the tune of $4, $5, $6 million at some point, that we spend almost $2,400 and kind of keep their feet to the fire and saying it's okay to have regulations, but they got to be based on something. You just can't throw a dart at the wall and say 1.0 is the number if it's not scientifically supported. So that's what the money goes to. The city has already approved their half.
I'd move to authorize a commitment to be sent to the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities and a payment of $2,369.50 made to the CGMC Environmental Action Fund after January 1st, 2018 and on or before February 1st of 2018.
I'll second.
Any discussion on the motion? We have a motion and second to authorize a commitment to be sent to the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities and a payment of $2,369.50 made to the CGMC Environmental Action Fund after January 1, 2018 and on or before February 1, 2018. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is to consider, I don't know, Mr. Persig will explain it.
To consider pursuing reclassification of 6 megawatts of power generation from one of our units. Currently, our MISO interconnection agreement is only 67 megawatts of capacity, where we own 70 megawatts of capacity right now. So there are 3 megawatts that they are not recognizing in the MISO market. What they've done is tied that to our number 6 generator, which is a 6 megawatt machine, which would be the Elliott. By doing this action, we could hopefully get it classified so that it would be a marketable asset for us. If you'll recall, a year ago, I think, or a little more, we entered another long-term contract for our excess capacity that took us from 25 to 30 megawatts of capacity sold, and that's where I came up with the $2,850 per megawatt month that I used in this action item. This capacity means it had a monthly value of potentially $8,550 or $102,000 a year by doing this action. So again, this is a little unique because we can use Heartland Consumers Power District's technical staff are willing to help us work our way through this. And that's the attachment of the email talking about how much it would cost us potentially to do this. And again, I've done the math for a potential reward. The only drawback to this is if they don't reclassify it, well, then we've wasted $40,000. But if they do reclassify it, it could be have as short a payback as 6 months or like 3 months. So if you have any questions.
I think generally to have a piece of equipment that has 6 megawatts and they only recognize 3 of it seems kind of odd to me, but one would think it would take $40,000 to make them look at this and go, yeah, we're giving you the other 3 because it can do it.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
You're fairly confident that they would be in agreement with this?
I don't see any good reason why they would not agree to that, because
Okay.
it's not like we're ever going to shut down all the power in
Yeah.
New Ulm and then generate at full capacity. It's more of it looks like an oversight that is being, we're
Fixed.
trying to address.
In the proposed action, that it says that we would authorize a estimated initial cost of $40,000 with the agreement that if the study costs more, New Ulm agrees to pay the balance. So just if it goes over the 40, you
Yep.
want this motion to cover.
Ideally. And
Gotcha.
I would think this is fairly straightforward, but there's a lot of bureaucracy going through all these channels, so hopefully we can come in under the budgeted amount.
Did you say when you'd have an answer back on this, possibly?
In one of the emails I saw, it talked like it could take as much as a year. So we'd be looking at for the 2019
Gotcha.
marketing year for our capacity, which the MISO auction is in end of May. So we'd effectively have almost a year and a half to get this done.
Okay. I'd offer the motion authorizing staff to pursue reclassification of 6 megawatts of generation from an energy resource to a network resource at an estimated initial cost of $40,000 with the agreement that if the study costs more, the City of New Ulm agrees, or rather the PUC of New Ulm agrees to pay the balance.
I'll second.
Any discussion on the motion? We have a motion and second to authorize staff to pursue reclassification of 6 megawatts of generation from an energy resource to a network resource at an estimated initial cost of $40,000 with the agreement that if the study costs more, the New Ulm Public Utilities would agree to pay the balance. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item relates to the Heinen Hill Slope Stabilization Project.
Yes, as you know, we've come to you last year pointing out the problem and getting permission to develop in plans and specs. Well, we are now asking permission to set the bid date, advertise for bids, and solicit for bids for this project to fix the erosion issue coming down from Heinen Hill there down to 5th North. We did put it in the budget at $250,000. We are still projecting to be on budget or under budget with the plans that they've set forward, and I attached the plans that they have with a draft of the bid advertisement. If there's any questions?
So Dan, I was looking at all the drawings that were included with this, and we're going to actually remove a lot of fill, and then there's going to be some type of like a wall a wall and then a grassy area below, or is that?
Actually, the wall is actually, it's geosynthetics that are being used. It's basically a little bit like the flower pots you buy your tomato plants in. You fill them all up with soils, and they interlock, and it'll bind the wall back to get the slope back together. And then a very important part is that we seed it and get grass well established on it. So it's very environmentally friendly, green. It gives us the erosion the erosion mitigation we were looking for, and it's much more cost effective and less invasive than a sheet pile wall or a block wall.
Well, I'm looking at page 174.
Page 174. Yep. And that's meant to be the cells. If you look, the next page, you can see this grid. And I think they're using the 6-inch option that it kind of accordions out.
Yeah.
And that's you're looking at the cross section of what's in the lower right corner there.
I've actually utilized this product on a lake shore due to erosion, the waves coming up and eroding the lake shore away, and it does extremely well. It holds everything in place. Sometimes you got to put a little bit more. In that situation, you had to put a little bit more sand on top every so often just to dress it up.
Yep.
But it stops the erosion, and in this particular situation, it should stop the soils from sliding down the hill.
That drawing makes it look like the slope changes quite a bit. Does it change quite a bit? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here.
What is the estimated life on this?
Well, the material should last
25 years, 50 years,
500 years. It's a
Say
thick plastic.
life 25 years, but yeah, nobody projected lifespan is as long
Yeah.
as we'll be worried about
Okay,
it.
long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as the plastic.
Main thing is, again, get it covered so it's not in direct sunlight. Usually,
Yeah.
sunlight is pretty rough on plastics.
I'd offer the motion authorizing staff to set the bid date, advertise for bids, and solicit bids for the Heinen Hill Slope Stabilization Project.
Second.
Any discussion? We have a motion and second to authorize staff to set the bid date, advertise for bids, and solicit bids for the Heinen Hill Slope Stabilization Project. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item is to consider a proposal for engineering related to high-pressure steam main to the Firmenich site.
Yes, this proposal is one of the projects that when we had FEB review our steam system last year, what if Firmenich would ever come in and ask for an expanded service? Well, here we are less than a year later, and they are now requesting an expanded service. With their expansion, this would be the removal of the segment of 4-inch line that's parallel to the rail line behind what we call the gas building or gas shed down there, and one very small segment that would be coordinated with them going from the manhole in front of it through the wall they're building onto their system. Again, this is what their projected usage is beyond what we can serve with the 4-inch main, and they're projecting they will be potentially maximizing the 6-inch line. But being a little conservative, I would like to see it before we panic about that. So they've been told very clearly what we can supply with the 6-inch line. They're comfortable with it moving forward and requesting services today. And this would mean that our back pressure steam turbine would be maxed out quite a bit. So it's more than just steam sales. We would be reclaiming some energy off of this also.
So this is looking for us to hire this group? I guess I'm just struggling with $54,000 to lay a couple hundred feet of steam line.
Plans, specs, the design. Yep, we'll be ordering the steam pipe, project coordination, and design the the heat expansion loops and all. We don't want any more mechanical joints. We've had them fail in the past behind the plant, so we're going to have a designed expansion loop like what they currently have in the 4-inch line. But again, much higher volume, bigger pipe.
This is a $200,000
Yeah.
project ultimately, but
Right.
the engineering services is the request right now for
Yep.
the 54.5.
Which is part of that 200, or it'll be like 254 in total then?
We're hoping that it would include that, but we cannot work with our welders on high-pressure steam,
Yeah.
like certified welder. So we will have to take and have a
That specialization.
construction crew come in and do it.
And so it wasn't in our 2017 budget?
No,
And do we have
They-
it in the 18?
or it's not in our 18 budget. Did I put 17? Sorry. Nope. They came in after,
After we already did it?
yep, after it was already, I think the request for services was dated November 15th or something. It was well after we had brought it to you.
So if we spend the $254,000 or thereabouts, what does that do for generating revenue in the district energy department? I mean, are we gonna generate, based on their usage, an extra $200,000 a year? Probably wouldn't be that much, maybe it'd be $25,000 a year,
I
or?
figured, I did just a very rough back on napkin calculation. If they would use half of what they say they're going to use, payback on the project would be about 3 years.
Hmm.
That's saying they're using half of their projected, just.
Yeah.
Everybody plans to be very optimistic, but
Does it change anything if down the road they don't use anything? Except for the money coming in?
yeah,
But as far as the utilization of that line, does that,
utilization of that line,
yeah,
right now, if they're not taking anything, that line is junk. It only goes one place. It's a radial feed. And actually, if they ever would expand
Yeah.
further than this, we would be looking at potentially looping the line to tie back into the line that AMPI would have.
sure.
Then they'd have a dual feed for both
Yeah.
AMPI and for Firmenich.
I'd make a motion authorizing the city manager to accept and sign the proposal for engineering services for the upgrade to the high-pressure main to the Firmenich site from FVB Energy Incorporated in the amount of $54,540.
Second.
Any more discussion? Motion and second authorizing the city manager to accept and sign the proposal for engineering services for the upgrade to the high-pressure main to the Firmenich site from FVB Engineering Incorporated in the amount of $54,540. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item is to consider a resolution to adopt schedule of steam rates.
Move to adopt a resolution and waive the reading approving the 2018 PUC's schedule of steam rates to be effective February 1st, 2018.
I'll second.
Any discussion? On the motion and second to adopt a resolution and waive the reading approving the 2018 PUC schedule of steam rates to be effective February 1, 2018. Call the roll.
Commissioner Barenick?
Yes.
Commissioner Hillesheim?
Yes.
Commissioner Swan?
Yes.
President Heine?
Yes.
Just a quick question on the steam issue. Have we started those, weren't we going to have, I don't know if you want to call them classes, but presentations on the retail area for steam? Is that program started?
That is actually something myself and Derek Nelson Energy Services have the draft of the first class.
So you're in the
It's
process
just-
of getting it running?
Yeah, we got the draft of the first slide, so it's still
Okay.
in process.
Thank you.
The next agenda item is to consider approving the city manager's, wait.
Yeah, in the,
Am I missing something?
Change order number 2?
Change order number 2.
yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
in the wastewater treatment plant project, it was identified that a non-potable water line should be installed. It was just in really bad shape. And while you're there, it's, efficient to have it fixed and repaired at that particular point in time. So if you look at the contracts, originally were $4.6 million, $100,000, of that is a very small number compared to the total contract. And it seemed prudent to move on that without delaying the project. So that was approved to keep things moving along, and we're just at the point now of bringing it to your attention for
And
approval.
if we have any more detailed questions, Seth Peterson from Bolton and Link is here also.
Yeah.
He was the project engineer.
Normally, in the projects in the past, we've always asked the city and the PUC that to give authorization of 5% or some number that when change orders come up. We didn't. I don't think we did it for this particular one, but this comes in at 2.5% or something like that. It's
I'd offer the motion ratifying the city manager's authorization of change order number 2, increasing the contract amount by $100,042 for the wastewater treatment plant's ATAD upgrades project with Rice Lake Construction Company Group.
I'll second.
Any discussion on the motion? Motion and second to ratify the city manager's authorization of change order number 2, increasing the contract amount by $100,042 for the wastewater treatment plant's ATAD upgrade project with Rice Lake Construction Group. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carried. Next item on the agenda is to consider declaring electric transformers and gas meter bars as surplus property.
Move to declare the electric transformers and gas meter bars as surplus property and authorize disposition pursuant to the requirements of the city code and charter.
Second.
Any discussion on that motion?
Skills aren't working here.
Motion is second to declare electric transformers and gas meter bars as surplus property and authorize disposition pursuant to the requirements of the city code and charter. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The final item on the agenda is to consider the list of claims paid.
I'll move to accept the list of claims paid in the amount of $3,335,688.90 and approve the list of claims to be paid in the amount of $243,278.84.
Second.
Any discussion?
It's funny.
On the motion to accept the list of claims paid in the amount of $3,335,688.90 and to approve the list of claims to be paid in the amount of $243,278.84. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. And with that, we are adjourned. Oh,
please
I'm
wait.
sorry.
Because it was brought to my attention a while ago that Mr. Daniel Bernick will no longer be serving on the Public Utilities Commission. Been a good run for me to sit back there and watch this commission. But this is a recognition award to Daniel Bernick for service to the community by serving on the commission as a member from January 2015 to December of 2017, and serving on the following subcommittees: Long-Term Power Committee from 2014 to 2017, and the Personnel Committee during 2015. And it's given today, the 26th day of December, 2017. Dan?
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank you.
for your
Thank
service
you.
to the
You bet.
community.
Thank you. I'd encourage anybody to get on any of the committees because you can learn so much, whether you're on Park and Rec or zoning, whichever. If you really want to learn something about the city you live in, get on one of these committees. City Council, PUC, Park and Rec, Library, you name it. You'll learn a lot in the first year. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, now we're adjourned.
I don't know that I'll be watching you on Tuesday nights.